Dentists are afraid to tell somebody it's going to cost money to do it. People come to us with major problems.
They just trust that we know what we're doing.
From 1.8 million, we have over 1 million arches that people are ready to, they just can't find a practice to do it for them. Dentists don't know how to explain it properly.
The technology has opened our world and our minds up.
Patients move from insurance concept to patients are asking us to come in more times. We're at about almost a 70% conversion rate from twice a year to 3 times a year. We restore smiles, we restore lives.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner, and today I have with me Dr. John Heimke. John, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. It's such a beautiful day here in Cleveland now that the spring has sprung, so to speak.
Oh my gosh, pollen in Virginia is just, hopefully you haven't gotten it yet, but I just now got my voice back. It was crazy last week, but you have been doing amazing cases and you're on the lecture circuit. And I wanted to just share some time with you so you can share some strategies behind what you've learned that works in your practice and your career. But first, we always start with the question, why dentistry? Did you choose it? Did it choose you? What happened?
No, I chose it. I was thinking of a variety of the healthcare professions, and I actually had a mentor many years ago that I went to his office, kind of watched what was going on, and it really captured me. And the artistic bent, really captured me too, because you're not only a healthcare provider, but you're also an artist. I mean, that's really the benefit of our field. And I'm a big proponent that dentistry of all the healthcare professions really has the best end product of any of the healthcare professions. I mean, we control the lower third of the face, but a smile, the first thing that people see, they look at the eyes or they look at the teeth. That's what's going on, and they do it in a nanosecond and they're making an assumption. We do that when we look in a mirror, and we have control of that, and people come to us with major problems. Maybe it's not tooth pain, but it might be a mental pain of, people don't think I'm a happy person. I don't like to smile in photographs. I'm just sad. I lost a significant other. I want to meet a new person. I want to, I'm younger. I want to meet a new person or whatever. And we can help with that in a very precise way and also in a beautiful way. And how good is that? And we can do it in a very efficient manner too. So that's kind of what led me in. You know?
Yeah, and you are, we were talking a little bit before we got on the recording back in the green room, but just the journey that you've been. So you graduated from dental school. Did you do any type of residency to learn some of the things that you have now that you're integrating into your practice?
Yeah, I graduated from Case in '89. Wow, that was a while ago. But then I did a general practice residency with the U.S. Army in Fort Benning, Georgia. Then we went to Europe for 3 years and, really learned and solidified my basic dental skills. And then after that, came back to the Cleveland area and then joined practice. And we were multiple doctors then. Now it's just me for the past 20 years, and took aesthetic training significant aesthetic training almost 30 years ago with Aesthetic Advantage and Dr. Larry Rosenthal. Now Dr. Appa's in that also. And a wonderful training. There's a lot of these great training programs out there. Coyce, Spear, all those. And, those kind of programs really bring in top-notch professionals. I also teach at the FMR in New York, which, we teach people, how to do aesthetics, full mouth restoration. So it's the path would almost be like take Aesthetic Advantage or something like that and then go into the FMR type program, because you need that education to be able to go from single tooth dentistry to doing full mouth dentistry, whatever it is. It's crowns, bridges, veneers, single implants or full mouth implants, or a combination. So you have to be able to learn that. And once you've mastered that, then you've got to learn skills of, how to present to the patient, how to get that case acceptance, because you have all that training, and then perform and do it in an efficient manner. Once you do that, and then have a maintenance program, a solid hygiene program at the same time. And so, that's what our practice does is, we restore smiles, we restore lives, and, we're going to do it for a lot more, many more years, actually.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about the everyday dentist who may be doing single tooth dentistry or what they feel is comprehensive dentistry and how intimidating it might be to go to like the full arch to the more comprehensive aesthetic approach. How would you recommend or what kind of mindset do you think that you came out of to be like that kind of dentist into where you are now and the story that you told yourself about where you were going to be and what you were going to offer?
Yeah, well, I think we have to look at the mouth as a machine. It has a purpose. The teeth have certain shapes. There's a difference. There's a reason why the front teeth are different than the back teeth or the premolar areas because they're doing something. It's letting us eat food, things like that, communicate. But also a very major thing is how we interact with other humans. It's just the way we are, you know. And so that's the smile is a very very big thing. So the training, you have to decide first off, what do you like doing in dentistry? I mean, a lot of dentists, they burn out because I think they have to decide what their path is. It might be a corporate path. It might be a path of just doing emergency dentistry. It might be something where you're just doing a single crown on 10 people a day. It might be like myself that puts the whole smile together functionally and aesthetically. You have to see what you like. You might like doing, GP ortho. You might like doing
Yeah.
dental implants, placing them and restoring them. Whatever it is, for anything you're going to do in life, you have to enjoy what you're going to do. Otherwise, it's going to become tedious and you're going to burn out and you're not going to want to do it. But we're lucky in our profession that most of us really enjoy the whole concept of putting a dentition together, and that can be taught and you can learn it, and it takes a little time and effort. But once you do that, then you're going to have a very gratifying profession. It's going to provide you an income for a family, whatever you're doing. And because I'm a big proponent of whatever you do, you must get paid for it. Okay,
Mm.
that's the way our world works. We exchange something for something else. So we're exchanging services for dollars. That's in our Western world. That's what we do. And that's just the way it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Too many dentists, they are afraid to tell somebody it's going to cost some money to do it. Well, when you go buy a car, they're not afraid to tell you what the car costs, you know. And like I said, we have the best end product, I think, in all of dentistry.
Yeah.
I mean, in all of medicine, actually. I'm sorry, all of medicine. I mean, we really control the lower third of the face, and our stuff works. It has to work 24/7 in a harsh, wet, warm, dark environment. I mean, do you have a computer that you had 10 years ago still? Do you have the same computer? No, right? Do you have the same car, right? How often do we change cars? Average of every 7 years we change a car. And you know what the average price of a car is as of today? Do you know what the
What?
average price is? Give me a guess. I'm just curious.
$60,000.
You must like nice cars. Actually, the
I
um,
do.
the average the average cost of a just middle of the road car, like a Ford SUV, basic, 51,000.
Hmm. Well,
Most people can get their whole mouth done for less than that.
oh, for
Less than
sure.
that.
And then now
For
with the
less than that.
financing options
So
and things that we
yeah,
have through dentistry too, whether you're fee for service or not, to the office is offering certain options for them to be able to manage that in a different way.
right. And I don't think people are changing their teeth out every 7 years, are they?
No, no.
Not usually. Not
It's an
usually.
investment. No.
So I think
Not
we
if
I
you
think
have
we
to
have
do
a
it right.
pretty I think what we do as dentists for the most part works from a filling all the way up to a full mouth reconstruction, because we have that level of training and we have those kind of materials and everything like that. So that being said, you should be able to help people, and people are more than ready to do it. They just want somebody competent that can do it.
Yeah, and then John, too, with our patients, they just trust that we know what we're doing. And the technology has become it's opened our world and our minds up to what we can do, what's possible for our patients, and then also how we're doing the case presentations with them and connecting the dots for them. How has that changed your world?
Yeah, quite dramatically. I mean, it was just a few years ago that, we would do a digital smile design, and then we would take a photo and we'd insert some teeth, and then we'd show them this before and after photo. And patients kind of got it for the most part. But now with AI technology, I use one called a Smile Cloud. We're able to take photos. I'll do a calibrated digital smile design, takes about 5 minutes. And then we will place it into the AI, and it will take that still photo and convert it into a before video and after video. And the key when in our case presentations is we have very large flat screens in our office in each treatment room. In my treatment room and presentation room, we have a 75-inch Vizio flat screen, and that's over 6 feet across, and they get to see that before and after, and they really get what my approach is going to be to their treatment, and that has really helped in having patients kind of understand where we're going. And one of the big things too is you don't have to get into that minutia with them. They really don't care, the company that's making the porcelain, they don't care about what type of implant they're getting, things like that. They figure that you've got that handled, and that you're going to give them something good. It's not going to be something from East Germany, that you got off the shelf in surplus, one of those guys. It's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, so let's give that as a given. But they just want to know, doctor, can you solve my problem? What's usually the problem? The problem is, I'm just not happy with my smile. People think I'm sad all the time. I'm kind of depressed. I've got crooked teeth. I want them whiter. Can you solve this for me, Dr. Heimke?
Mm.
Well, if you examine them and say, yeah, this is it, and this is what I propose, the chances of when you illustrate that to them and say, look, it's going to do this, this, and this, it's going to cost about this much money, and you show them, the chances of them saying yes go up exponentially. Go up exponentially. And so, that's one of the key things, especially when you have a lot of training. Dentists, a lot of times, they just don't know how to explain it properly, and that's part of the leadership in dentistry. I mean, there's a reason the military has academies like West Point and all that, and the Naval Academy and all that, is because there are natural leaders, but they're a small percentage. So they need these academies to train leaders. We can do that in dentistry. You can take training on how to be a leader, how to be a better communicator. And once you do that and you start to learn that, I had to learn that. I was not a natural in all that. I'm able then to communicate to patients, and then I'm able to get those treatments that I'm very good at. I'm able to transfer it to my patients, and then we get a case success. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah. Now, how do you take that from what you've learned to translate that to your team and help them become leaders of what they're in charge of in your practice?
Exactly. Well, my team has gone through a lot of the same leadership training that I have taken. Ritz training. We have taken training about how Starbucks works, how Nordstrom's works, things
Mhm.
like that. And these are books you can get out. You can get out there. They have a Starbucks book, a variety of them. Nordstrom's, how it works, how major corporations train their staffs on their brand and what they believe in and everything like that. And a lot of our staff, we have a small staff, so we're all cross trained. They're able to go front desk, assisting, to talking to the patient. They can do all that stuff, and we review that on a frequent basis. Plus, we go into they've some of the staff have had their teeth done by me, and so they're become natural models. They can come in and I can say, hey, this is Michelle, our hygienist. She's had her veneers for 17 years. Here's Carol, our front desk. She's had her teeth for 20 years, her veneers. And they can look at my teeth. I have 22 teeth done in my mouth. I'm always surprised how many dentists, I'm a major cosmetic dentist. I know all about this. And they have, unfortunately, kind of jacked up teeth. It's like, well, you kind of should walk the walk a little bit. I mean, you don't have to, but if you have some teeth that are just not there, I think you have to take a look at yourself. But I mean, no, in reality, though, it's very nice because I can tell a patient, do you like my smile? Would you like something like this? Or here's Carol, would you like to talk to her and look at her smile? Oh, everybody has a little different smile. So it's actually something, to consider. in practice as far as that's concerned. But yeah, we kind of follow the philosophy of these leading companies. There's a really good book out there called Blue Ocean Business Strategy, and I would highly recommend it. I mean, something if you're going to do anything in this talk today, go buy that book. It's $20, get it on Amazon. You'll read it in a weekend, and you start implementing some of that stuff, like we did over 15 years ago, and it just changes your dental world radically because
Is there anything is there anything on the top of your mind, like, that was, like, a number one thing that made a big difference that was a small thing?
yeah, well,
That
I
you
mean, the,
think
the
about?
concept of that is that there's a red ocean and a blue ocean in the business world, and the red ocean, the business are competing against each other in a very cutthroat fashion, and they're constantly reducing the quality of service or the amount of services, and they're decreasing price. So they're kind of competing always on price and reducing services, and versus a blue ocean, which what that business strategy is you're creating a whole new market. Well, what would that be in dentistry? Well, it might be something in hygiene called that we have implemented in the past year called airflow technology or guided biofilm therapy.
Yeah.
And we could go into that a little later, maybe or another time. But then one of the other things, dental implants. Dental implants you're creating a full arch implant system. You have a whole new market to go after because these are people that want it done. So currently, there's 60 million arches in the United States, potential arches to get full mouth implants.
I love that
Okay,
you know.
right. Of that 60 million, of that 60 million, 3% are ready to go. Means they have the resources and they just need to find a dentist and a practice that can do it.
Hmm.
Right. And so that translates out to what was it? Oh, 1.8 million people are ready to go in the United States for full arch implants.
Wow.
How many arches did we do in 2023? I'll tell you right now, it was in the United States, specialists and general dentists combined 100,000 plus or minus arches in 2023. So we're three
Okay.
years later. Obviously, full arch implants have become more popular. More people are doing it. So I'll give them the benefit and say now we're at, let's say 150 to 175,000 arches a year. Well, minus that from 1.8 million, what do we have? We have over a million arches still then that people are ready to do. They just can't find a practice to do it for them. Very interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. So how do
You
they
know,
find you?
for dentists that say, "Oh, the competition is horrible." I have 20 practices in my building. I have no competition. There's plenty of work for all of us, from a
Yeah.
single filling to a crown to whatever. But I mean, that's so that's something people should know, and that's kind of what a blue ocean is. Starbucks, for example. I'll just go. I'll do this quickly. Starbucks, they sell a lot of coffee, but actually they sell more milk per year than they do coffee because selling coffee is um, not their business model. That's not what Starbucks does. Starbucks, what you do is you go in there, you place an order, and you stand in line with like 10 other people, right?
Yeah.
Where you could have gotten your coffee 6 times cheaper at the local Giant Eagle gas station by the grocery store.
Right.
Similar cup of coffee, but there you don't stand in line with 10 people. You want to go into the Starbucks and you want to watch the guys playing on the computer, typing their next screenplay. You want to see the old guys reading the paper, talking about stuff. You just want to, you like the place. And then when you get your coffee, they call out your name. Wow, that's pretty cool. So you're
Mhm.
standing in line with 10 people and somebody says, John, and you're like, oh, me. I'm the star right now for that nanosecond, right? That's me. I'm going to run up there. Everybody's looking at. He's getting his coffee. You see what I mean? What they did is the people who made Starbucks said, yeah, we're going to sell coffee, but we're going to make it an experience. So that was their blue ocean. That was their blue ocean. Versus, I'm just going to go to a gas station buy a 99-cent cup of coffee. So
Yeah.
that's kind
Still
of that.
some entertainment to be had at a gas station, but a different type of entertainment,
Yeah,
different
exactly.
experience.
Buy a lottery ticket if you win. Yeah.
Now, I love that you mentioned too with the airflow technology and airflow therapy is now actually what they're calling it to maintain the health of the work of what you've done to preserve that, The patients are being educated. They understand the long-term impact of the value and the experience that you're providing to them. And it changes the entire prevention model for the hygienist.
Oh, it
And I
does.
yeah.
I totally agree. I know a very good friend and mentor, Dr. Maurice Salama, a periodontist in Atlanta, with Goldstein, Garber, and Salama. You know, they switched to airflow GBT number of years ago, and they were talking to me, and they said, "John, you should really take a look at this. It's going to change how hygiene is in your office because you do similar work that we do. We do a lot of comprehensive work, and the hygiene model they explained, you know, guided biofilm therapy basically is taking the biofilm, the plaque, whatever in our mouth, and attacking it at that point instead of going after it once it's hardened and become, calculus and having to scrape all that off and things like that. Yeah, you would do that initially, but then afterwards, using a powder, a water and air, it's like a gentle power washer for the mouth. I mean, that's the way we explain it to patients. But for those of you that don't know about it, that's what it is, and it's different than air polishing. I mean, air polishing I remember from the 80s and 90s, and it was and they just took a grit and mixed it with water and sprayed everywhere. I mean, this is and there's other companies that do it too. I think EMS does the best. It's just I've been convinced on that. But and needless to say, basically what it's doing, it's disrupting the biofilm, and it's using a disclosing solution so the patient can see it. The patient satisfaction and enjoyment now of getting a cleaning are amazing. They're like, I can't believe this. I can't believe every day. It's like they come into our practice and they're like, oh, this is amazing, doctor. It beats the other system of scraping your teeth and all. I mean, we've eliminated 90% of the hand instruments. Our hygienist, I mean, she's like, Dr. Hecky, my hands feel fantastic at the end of the day. And then there's a piezo, a dynamic piezo. It's kind of like an AI piezo that, goes after the selected teeth where you need it. And then the key thing is we're able to have patients move from that twice a year insurance concept to now patients are asking us to come in more times, literally asking us to come in more times. And I'm like, this is great because all the science since I was in dental school says we need to see you at least 3 to 4 times a year. We do this also for our any new patient that comes in that's going to, have a smile makeover, veneers, full arch implants. We schedule them for before we do any of that to get a cleaning with obviously our system, guided biofilm therapy, and it reduces the biofilm in the mouth, and it kind of gives them an introduction to the whole system. Um, Obviously, for the most part, they're just like, this is amazing. I want to continue to do this. And then, so that kind of sets things up so that I want them to have the longest service of this dental treatment that they can get.
Right.
I mean, it's going to last a finite period of time, but obviously I want to put the percentages in their favor. And in addition to the work being, at a very high level, I want them to be able to do the hygiene easy at home and also to let us help them. And so now I would say we're at about almost a 70% conversion rate from twice a year to 3 times a year. The ones that need it 4 times a year, we elevate them to that. But so it's really, I'm seeing the kind of hygiene department I've always wanted to see. And my
Awesome.
hygienist, Michelle, is doing the same thing. She comes in every day and saying, we're making progress, Dr. Heimke. We're not seeing things slide back like you would with 6 months, and as a hygienist yourself, you've seen that frustration, it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the old model of thinking that time equals money for the chair and the hygienist, that it's only I don't know, there's so many things I can say right now, but when you're creating value in the chair from all the different things that we're doing, from blood pressure, from some offices are doing pulse ox, all the different things, phase contrast microscopes and doing plaque samples, and how we're differentiating our care in the practice and helping the patient understand the oral systemic link and about how this, we are truly providers. It goes right into that, John. And I love that you mentioned that and that you construct that, because you mentioned before too that your hygienist calls the shots on how much time they get based on what the patient is truly needing. Tell me more about that and how you got to that. framework?
Yeah, well, I mean, have a little bit of a benefit because we're fee for service, but even when the days that we were in insurance based many years ago, I still wanted the hygienist to have that leeway because they're a professional in their own sense. Their job is to help me and help the patient obviously maintain the situation. And so they're seeing that patient well, in those days twice a year, but now, now we're really seeing where we should be based on science. And the other thing is they can do other things, as you said. One of the key things, though, is we're not the kind of practice where I need the hygienist to sell stuff, sell all these ancillary things, stuff like if a patient we want. I mean, I'm a big water flosser guy. I think home care should be very simple.
Yeah.
Home care should be you brush whatever kind of brush, as long as you get it in your mouth and you use it. Use a water flosser. I'm a major water flosser fan because people don't mind doing it. Obviously, flossing, and then using a mouth rinse. I like the one called Natural Dentist. I've been using it many years. No alcohol in it, but I tell patients you do those things, and that's going to help you tremendously. And one thing about floss, real quick, just a real side note. You know me, I'm saying all these things. Do you know this and this and that? Do you know the amount of floss sold per person per year in the United States? It's
No.
3 feet. 3 feet. 3 feet of floss per person in the United States. That's how much they make. So you look, it's not, you don't do a survey and ask people, do you floss? Because they lie all the time. We know that. Okay. It's a learned habit. People hate doing it. I'm sorry. I have a degree in, I have a master's in public health, and we took a whole course on compliance. You give the person 20 pills and say, take 2 pills every 5 hours. By the third day, they're not doing that. Okay. It works the same way with flossing. So I don't care how much you can speak to your red in the face. People just don't floss. So in the United States, if you look at how much floss is made per person in the United States, it's 3 feet. And we know you need 3 feet to floss daily. So
Right.
you know how many people are flossing on a regular basis. Because if they were doing that, they'd buy more floss, right?
That's right. Yeah. They don't just
Yep.
use the
And
tube.
get this. Probably 50% of that floss that's sold in the United States is used by hobbyists and people doing stuff with floss, tying things up with it, doing whatever, not even ever getting near the mouth. So, that's why I'm a big advocate of come in for cleanings more often. Use a water flosser because that's going to do about 80% of what flossing does. Obviously, we teach them to floss and encourage them to do that, but you've got to understand what the background is, and then get a toothbrush in there and get a rinse. And if you do those things and you don't use your teeth as tools, you will have, your dentistry will last longer. But
Absolutely.
eventually, everything breaks down. I mean, we break down at some point. I mean, so, that's the goal is the maximum longevity for what we have.
Yeah. So I mean, from the front end, it's leadership training, um, creating that experience for the patient, helping them understand their part in it with the patient accountability for longevity of what you're doing and what they're investing in. And then literally rinse and repeat, right? Every 3 to 4 months. And you're creating that model that's created that different experience for for your
Right.
patients, Sean. That's amazing. So thank you so much for being on today and offering your perspective and how you're doing, and then also leveraging the technology for case discussions and presentation with the patients with your
Oh
flat
yeah.
screens. I mean, that just by itself, when you're saying that, I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I would be in the room with my whole mouth just like on the screen going, what is that?
And I'll tell you
I
this.
feel like,
One thing we didn't talk about is I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a general practitioner or a specialist, but a general practitioner, there's some key technologies that you need. You need some sort of AI technology to show before and after. A scanner is a must. I think it's 70% market penetration right now. Any of the top 5 scanners, I'm a Medit guy, I love Medit, but you need an intraoral scanner. Yeah, 3D printing, in-office 3D printing, it's time to make that jump. Obviously, we have digital x-rays. We have that if you're doing implants. You want a CBCT. You want to look at some of these more technology-driven hygiene systems. 3D face scanners, stuff like that. You have those technologies, those key technologies, and that's really what you need these days. And photogrammetry, if you're doing implants, photogrammetry, especially full arch, those are kind of the key technologies that you need in your office. The other thing, real quick, is
Yeah.
most of us have never done an assessment of our routers. So that people complain, oh, my internet's slow in my office, my technology is not working. So we had an engineer come in and they said, your router is ancient. You need to have a 6E or 7E router. It's $100, $200. I don't care what kind of office you have. If you have a router that's over 3 years old, take your wallet out, take your credit card and buy a new one,
I
because
love that.
all that technology will just roar in your office, roar.
Yeah, they get so much lag and they're like, this is why we're not using the scanner because there's so much lag. It's not picking up.
Right,
It's causing me to be late.
right.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
that's my little stuff. I hope to talk again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You too, John. Thank you so much. For anybody who has questions or follow up for John, his information, contact information is in the show notes. Thank each of you for being on again today. You know, I always ask the favor. Please go on over to Apple Podcasts to rate the dental handoff a 5-star rating, please, because you love us and you listen to us every week. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and press the like button right now. Like, subscribe, and be kind. Go ahead and like it so you're notified every time that there's a new episode weekly. And then go ahead and drop in some comments for John to tell him how much you love the episode so the algorithm keeps recommending us to those who love us. So thank you each and every one of you for the lives that you touch every single day. We will see you again next week. John, thanks again for being on.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.